All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. Ready for the Daily Huddle. My name is Giovanni Gonzalez, and I am so excited to be with you this morning again. Today is May 8th, 2020. This is our episode number 3?
No, today's 35, my friend.
35, episode number 35.
And counting.
And count. Who's counting, right?
Well, I'm counting because we're going to 365 before we think about doing anything else.
Very good. We'll be here creating the Daily Huddle, where we say it's a conversation that empowers each one of us and each one of you to create a context for the rest of your day, because we say the way you start your day gives you the rest of your day, and the way that you live each day gives you the rest of your life, and we're needed to empower the rest of your life. I am truly always honored to co-host the Daily Huddle with my business partner, mentor, and friend, the #1 executive coach expert, Saurel Quettan. Good morning, Saurel.
Good morning, Giovanni. It is so great to be with you this morning. It is always great to be with the #1 transformational leadership coach, and that is you, my friend. Honored to co-host the Daily Huddle with you, and honored to be someone who lives in a community that recognizes that an entrepreneur, a CEO, a business owner is not a business owner, a CEO separate from the human being that he or she is. So therefore, the Daily Huddle exists to empower the whole being of what it is to be a CEO, an entrepreneur, a professional, an artist, a photographer, a web designer. So today we're looking at an aspect of you that is physical. Yesterday we looked at how we captured that, right? Through photography. And today we're looking at, well, how do you create a presence that your photographer will be delighted to capture? And there's none other with us today than Deborah Day Fawaz. Deborah's an educator, a group fitness instructor, and mother of 4 adult children. She's the founder and CEO of DDFaces, a concierge image company. Now, it's not that you're worried about your image. It is that there's the image you convey that you're not aware that you're conveying, and you're not even aware of the impact that it's having on your prospects, your friends, your mother. So the idea of actually constructing an image with the assistance of a consultant like Deborah is amazing. So Deborah, I am so happy you're here. You've been doing this for 12 years. You've got the kind of experience over 30 years as a professional makeup artist. You work with men and you work with women. And I imagine you work with people with hair and people with no hair.
Yes, sir.
Right? And
right.
So the idea of elevating my physical appearance has nothing to do with narcissism. It is literally a responsibility that you and I share, that I care so much about the difference I want to make that I will tend to my physical presence such that it reflects my personality and the brand that I represent. Deborah, I know you're committed to that. And
yes,
you do that through image consultation, color analysis, professional makeup application, personal shopping. Oh my God, I don't have to go to the mall anymore. And professional speaking and workshop. I know your heart exists to make a difference. And I love having you on the Daily Huddle. So welcome, Deborah. Good morning.
Well, thank you, Saurel. And Giovanni, I would like to speak for a minute about what you and I do, share some avenues, because you are a transformational coach And I live in the world of transformation as well, working with my clients to elevate their presence, to make sure that their personal image and their business image are in alignment. And all of that creates an inner confidence that shows success. And people want to hire you when they perceive that you are successful and confident. That's a big piece of it. So if I could just take a minute to talk about why does it even matter about your first impression? So many people say to me, and we'll deal with this in a minute, but they say to me, you know, you're good at what you do, and I appreciate you and I respect you, but people hire me because I'm an expert and I really know my content. Well, there is truth to that, but it's so much more than that. It's so much more than being an expert in your area. And how people perceive you and receive you matters if they hire you or not. And it's not all at a conscious level. So if I could just take a minute to summarize the science behind this, there are thousands of studies, mostly done by psychologists at universities, about first impressions. And one of the ways they measure that is they take the volunteers and they put electrodes on them like you're getting an EKG type of thing, and they flash images across a screen. And they measure your physiological response to an image. So it could be locations, people, food, nature, all kinds of things. Some studies measure your response by your heart rate. Others, your respiration rate, your body temperature, eye blinking. And so the part that we don't realize, that no one necessarily teaches us, is our subconscious mind registers a response to an image before our conscious mind says, hey, I really like how Saurel's beard is growing out this month, okay? But something has already registered in my subconscious brain when I see an image of something. My favorite study was done in Harvard in 2013, where they just looked at 30 other studies and compiled all the data. And the bottom line is the response rate went from 1/10 of a second to 15 seconds. In the middle, in the median, in the average, 7 seconds. So you know that old saying of you have 7 seconds to impress. That is still basically the bottom line of time. So it does really matter. So let's talk about, I'm going to give you 5 tips about a first impression. The first one is your entrance into a Zoom meeting, your entrance into a room for a networking event, your entrance into an interview. I have a funny story. I'm not going to take the time to explain it, but I was sitting in a waiting room watching people enter a building, and I saw people move their clothing around in their personal areas. I saw people pick their teeth. I saw people screaming at someone on the telephone. And this is before they ever entered the building. So in their mind, they're invisible. They're not on yet because they haven't made eye contact with the person they're going to meet. But I saw it all happen. So what if I was the person they were interviewing with, or the person maybe they wanted to hire, the person they wanted to impress? I've already made an opinion about you and you haven't even entered the building yet. So all of that to say, your first impression starts the minute the other person lays their eyes on you, not when you make eye contact with them or you start talking with them. Does that make sense, everybody? So, you know, as far as arriving in your car or arriving to a Zoom meeting, I say just take care of your business before you get there. If you're driving somewhere, stop at the office building before the building you're going to. Finish your phone conversation. Don't be on your phone when you enter the Zoom room. Get your hair, you know, arranged fix your lipstick, whatever it is you're doing, but finish your business before your entrance. The second thing I want to talk to you about is my soapbox is about being memorable, and being memorable in a good way. All those people I described were very memorable to me at that office building, but in a way that basically taught me a lesson. So you want to be memorable. You want to be remembered. You're taking time out of your day to be in this meeting. You probably have 3 more Zoom, WebEx meetings today, coffees, virtual coffees. We will get back to real coffees, but right now we're doing them like this. I had an experience recently where I was on a Zoom meeting and there was a presentation, a speaker, and a couple days later somebody said to me, "Hey, how was that speaker last Monday?" And I went, "I don't even remember who it was. Let me look it up in my phone and see what's on my calendar." Wouldn't that be horrifying that you take all that time to write your talk, give your talk, and nobody really remembers what it was about? It's really important to be memorable. When we gather together and it's comfortable for us in the same geographical area to talk about, well, first of all, let me say this. We all know in business you're not supposed to talk about politics, religion, and what's the other one?
That
Is
one.
sex? I
Yeah,
think so. I think it is.
Your dog,
Okay.
somebody's dog, I think, also.
Right. So, you know, we know that. But why do we talk about the weather, sports, and the traffic? Well, it's easy. We've all experienced it as we're arriving somewhere, right? If you live in the same geographic area, you're experiencing the same weather. But when I leave that experience, am I going to go out to my car and say, "Oh, I'm going to write down on Mary Pat's business card, she doesn't like the rain"? No, I'm not. That's not what I want to remember about her. That doesn't make her stand out. You have to take a bit of a risk to stand out and be memorable. And taking a bit of a risk means do something a little differently. So in being memorable, you can be memorable with your conversation. You can ask a question that doesn't end in a yes or no answer. Have you been here before? What if the person says no? And then now you're at a dead end, right? But if you say, "What are you hoping to get out of this meeting today? What is it that you most like about this group?" That type of thing. That opens the door. You know, there's plenty of research done about people who listen. Let's say that Karina and I are in a room together and I ask her a lot of questions and I basically let her talk. When she walks away from me, she will perceive that I like her because I let her talk about herself. And she'll remember that next time. In fact, she'll probably feel good by listening to her. You've all had that experience, haven't you, where somebody comes up to you, pushes a business card in your face, and then they're like the great announcer and they just all about themselves, and you want to get away from them. At least I do. So being memorable isn't just about your physical appearance, it's about the content of your conversation and how you present yourself. So be a good listener when you're being memorable. I have clients that say to me, "Hey, Saurel, I just thought of this. I'm not looking at the clock. Can you tell me when I have 3 minutes left?"
Yes, I will.
Thank you, sir. I have people that say to me, "Deborah, I'm an introvert. I'm never going to be memorable. I'm not going to be the most fascinating person in the room." I say hogwash to that. You can so be memorable. You don't have to be the extroverted extrovert to be memorable. So I just talked about being a good listener. Introverts can be great listeners. Just be interesting in your conversation starter. Maybe wear something that's interesting. Accessories for men and women are a great way for someone else to say, hey, look at that. Wear an interesting necklace that was handmade at a craft fair. Somebody might say, that's different. I've never seen that necklace before. And I can say, oh, I go to the Duluth Festival every year. Have you been there before? Your accessories, your belt, your tie, your watch, your handbag, whatever, can be a great conversation starter. If you are not comfortable starting the conversation, let somebody else do it. Number 3 is your body language. Okay. And I mean, this is, I know, common sense. We all know, like, if your arms are crossed or your eyes are on the ground, you don't look open. You don't look like you're receptive to talking to someone or meeting someone. But be aware of your body language, even on your entrance. If those shoulders are back, chest elevated, and the eyes are looking to make eye contact, they're not staring down at the floor, you know, even if you're nervous walking in there, you got to fake it. You know, the fake it till you make it. Put a smile on. And when you come through that door, when you click on your camera and the Zoom camera comes on, you're smiling, you look happy to be there. And I'm going to tell you, as a speaker on this whole virtual meeting stuff now, it's rather intimidating to see a grid of faces that maybe don't look very happy. Okay, so I'm really practicing right now, even when I'm working on my computer at home, to keep a smile on my face. So it becomes a habit. So the muscles are trained this way, not this way, because I have a kind of crabby resting face. And so if I don't focus on turning the corners up, I can look kind of pissed off sometimes, and I'm really not. I'm just thinking, I'm focusing, I'm paying attention to all these beautiful faces on my screen. So be aware of that. You want to look positive, you want to look polished. Let's stay on the body language for a second and talk about virtual meetings. So be aware when the camera comes on what you're doing. Be done like fixing yourself. Have the dog put away. Have the kids put somewhere. I mean, it's not perfect. You can't always control your environment at home, but be aware of it because it's still your physical presence. It's still people's impression of your business self. For example, I have my heels on today. I put a dress on. I even sprayed some cologne on myself, which you might think, okay, Deb. It's a mindset of I'm talking about first impressions. I need to give you a good one. It's my mindset that this is my job. I'm at work. So I would strongly encourage you, if you are on a business call virtually, show up like you would show up in person. Get out of your yoga pants, get out of your ponytail. I'm not judging anybody today, I promise you. But that mindset puts you in the work professional mindset, and you will be perceived more of a professional and an expert at what you do if you present yourself that way. Does that make sense? I mean, we're all going to have like lazy days. And when I'm Zooming with my friends and my family, I'm in my yoga pants and my ponytail. I don't care. That's different. I'm talking about your professional appearance. So back to the thing about your content. Your content can be fabulous. You can be an expert at what you do, but that is not enough. You have to consider the whole package. And even though I know this is very cliche, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And the whole thing about people have to know, like, and trust you, they have to meet with you a second time, a third time, a seventh time maybe, to get to know you and to get to trust you. But how do you get to that second and third time? You have to be memorable. You have to present yourself as an expert at what you do, and being professional and being polished and standing out from all the other people that do what you do. There are thousands of people that do what I do, thousands. What makes me different from them? How am I going to make you remember me and want to get to know me better? So I work with men and women to elevate their image, to make sure that their personal image and their business image are in alignment. We look at all different ways to do that through some of the things I talked about today, but so much more, because nobody really teaches you this. And so we look at where do you go? Who's your audience? Who are you in front of? You know, you've all worked on honing who's your ideal client. So I want you to teach me that. Who's your audience? And then how should you be in front of that audience? What if you want to be a professional speaker? We're definitely hearing so much about speaking is the fastest way to grow your business and elevate yourself. And so that's a whole nother way to dress and present yourself. Colors are emotional. Giovanni.
Yeah, no, I had a question for you, but go ahead and finish the thought. I had a quick question.
I'll just finish this sentence in that color, there's a whole psychology behind colors as well, and what color and pattern says to other people and how they receive you. No one really teaches us that either. So I work with people to determine what colors look best on them, and then we actually create outfits for if you're speaking on the stage, if you're leading a Zoom call, you're meeting somebody for coffee. How many different looks do you need? And we put those packages together. Go ahead, Giovanni.
That is phenomenal. I certainly know that I'm going to call you when I start leading again. I wonder what the best color patterns could be for the impact I'm committed to. I was wondering, you know, one of the things that I deal a lot when I'm leading and also in supporting people with personal brand, but I don't really do that, right? That's not the area where I focus on supporting leaders. But one of the things that I bump into every now and then is if I focus on myself, like how I look all the time, I feel like I'm being superficial. How do you help someone kind of shift that mindset from the way I look is actually a contribution to others, not me being superficial and focusing on superficial stuff?
I love how you say that word, and contribution. I'm going to steal that and write that down. Thank you. It's not superficial to be yourself. You are your genuine, fabulous self. But well, I see Marie Frattoni's on here. One of her favorite words is zhuzh it up a little. I love that. But let's spiff it up a little so that you are elevated, so that you are memorable. Here's just an example. On a Zoom call, I talk to people about making sure that the background behind you is not super busy, because that's distracting. I want you, yeah, I see your charts. I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying, you want people to focus right here. Like I have on kind of a bright lipstick today, because when I'm the speaker, I want you focused on my message, not on my bookshelves, not on my really busy pattern of a dress or a crazy tie, perhaps, or wild curtains behind me. Those things all matter. And we are really easily distracted, right, as humans? So here we are going on 15 minutes of Deborah. I want to make sure that there are the least amount of distractions. So back to your question about being genuine, I will not turn you into something you're not. If you say, Deborah, I'm never going to get my ears pierced. Cool. You don't have to wear earrings. Big deal. So I work with people to make sure that their look, not only does it reflect their brand, but their personality. You're never going to wear earrings. I'm never going to make you. If there's a certain color you really don't like, I'm not going to tell you you have to wear it. So their look needs to reflect their brand, their personality, and their lifestyle. Some of you live alone. You can take as much time as you want to get ready. Others of you have 3 dogs and 4 kids running through the bathroom when you're trying to get ready. I'm not going to give you a 45-minute look. We're going to create compact, simple ways.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. I have more questions for you, but I'm going to open it up for the audience and see if anyone has a question that would like to ask you. Or Saurel, I don't know if maybe you have a question. Go ahead.
No, the floor is wide open to the studio audience. I'm seeing Rose, Ron, Nancy, and Tyrone. Anyone? Deborah is all yours.
Marie has her hand up.
Marie, go ahead.
I think, Deborah, thank you for your message. It's always fun to hear you. And, oh, wait a minute.
You're on.
Thank you. What I was going to do is I was going to comment on something that Giovanni said that I thought was absolutely brilliant, was that, you know, I'm going to hire you to see how you can help me dress so that my brand, I forgot how you worded it, but it was not like you were going to wear a costume, but how can your dress enhance your message in terms of what it is that you're standing for, what is that you're bringing for. And I just thought that was like so really well said, because so many times, I mean, it's like what we want to convey. I mean, it's like, you know, if you were Edward Scissorhands, you'd wear a costume that would say you're Edward Scissorhands, and there wouldn't be any question about it. But I liked how you brought it deeper personally and related to the stand and the work that you're about, and to have something that looks really great. So I loved your comment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laurie K has a question. Go ahead, Laurie K. And then Rose.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I really enjoyed your presentation. As a photographer myself, absolutely everything you're saying is so important. You know, the body language, the color, everything that people are taking in subconsciously, you know, to be mindful of what that is. I wanted to know, do you work with photographers, and do you tell me more about how you relate this in photography as well, you know?
Hi, Laurie K. Great to see you. I met you at a What Women Want conference 3 years ago. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
You were memorable to me because I remember that.
Thanks.
I work with photographers to help make sure that their clients are dressed appropriately and look their best for the photo shoot. So I often meet with the client virtually ahead of time. They take their phone in their closet and I help them pick out the outfits that look best on camera. So I try and make the photographer's job a little easier and work that way with your client ahead of time. And then I come to the studio and do hair touch-ups and do their makeup for the camera.
That's great. That's great.
And if the client wants me to, I will stay there through the photo shoot, through the clothing changes, you know, and do some touch-ups as well. But I really do enjoy that. And gentlemen, you need a makeup artist when you get your headshot done. A lot of men, you know, they're light-haired or they're silver-haired and their eyebrows have disappeared. So we create some eyebrows for you, whatever it is you need to be reflected great on the camera.
Well, we'll definitely connect after this. That'd be great.
Thank you.
We'll reconnect.
Thank you. Rose, you're up.
Good morning. Thank you. Deborah, I really enjoyed your being your brand in the way you present yourself. Can you speak to that?
I can. And I have clients in the past that have kind of, for lack of a better word, fought me about my suggestions about their colors and what they wear. And one person in particular said, these are my brand colors, and that's what I wear, because I want to be memorable and I want my clients to remember me. Well, that person looks like their logo on their business card, but your brand isn't your way that people feel after they interact with you and they're in your presence, whether it's your online presence or your physical presence. So it's not that it's bad to wear the colors in your logo or your branding, but don't primarily do that. You almost become like a caricature of yourself. That makes sense. And if you saw somebody, for example, my colors are turquoise, black, and white. If I always wore that, you would stop paying attention to me in a room. You would kind of dismiss me because it's just so predictable. And what's memorable about that? I always look the same. Some people wear black all the time. Trust me, most of us need a black intervention in our closet. I'm there too, okay? There's something about it. It's easy, it's comfortable. We tend to think we look slimmer when we wear black. But if you don't have a really fascinating accessory on, you just kind of fade into the woodwork. Did I answer your question, Rose?
Yes, you did. That's perfect. I would have not thought about it that way, but you're right. It's kind of like, you write a note and you put it on your refrigerator and you walk past it 10 times.
Right. That's so true.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Y'all, I'm going to look down for a minute because I'm going to type my information in the chat bar, but keep talking.
All right. And as you're doing that, Deborah, we'll take the last question from Thomas and then give you an opportunity to say the last words for the day. Thomas, go ahead.
Okay, I had to make sure my microphone was on. The first thing I want to know is it seems pretentious, overly pretentious, when I had to look so perfect to the audience when I have so many human flaws. And I'm not that kind of person who reflects that or even concentrates on that. And the second part of that question is, if there is something that needs addressed, how would I know it? Or how can I see it or learn of it without being told or have it pointed out?
Two really good questions. So your first one is, it's not pretentious to be your authentic self. It's okay. And it's not an ego thing. It's just being aware of your physical presence and how other people receive that. And how does somebody point that out? I mean, obviously I'm going to say you hire somebody like me to work with you, or you go to somebody you trust and you ask them a specific question, like, is there something about my physical self that you think I could do differently so people would perceive me as a professional, as polished, and as an expert in my field?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
And Janelle had a question that I think we can address very quickly, Deborah. It says, people say you need a dark suit, navy and gray, to look professional. Is this still a standard?
Yes, absolutely. You don't necessarily need a jacket on, but it depends who your audience is, all right? If you're in a corporate situation, then a gray or a navy suit is definitely appropriate. If you're a creative like Karina or Laurie K, creatives can get away with being a little less structured in their dress. In fact, we almost expected of them more. Again, it depends what you do and who you're going to impress and who the audience is. I would strongly encourage people to wear gray or navy as the new neutral instead of black. Black is formal and elegant, but it can also be kind of standoffish and stark. But everybody looks good in navy, and navy is, it's just a neutral color that isn't quite as harsh, I guess, for lack of a better word, as black.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deborah. Go ahead, Saurel.
Well, I was simply going to say, Deborah, your last words, but before I say that, what's so revealing about today's huddle and your contribution, Deborah, is that I'm now comfortable that I am my brand. You said your brand is you. If that's the case, I'm discovering how many times I've hidden myself behind my company logo. And maybe those days are gone. I am my brand. And thank you for that revelation.
You know, Saurel, you have such a presence about you that is just you, that we want to emulate that, but we can't recreate it. We're not going to start talking in a different accent, right? So, or we're not going to necessarily shave our head or whatever that means. I can't like duplicate you, but you are very memorable just in how you show up, your speech patterns. It's fabulous. But some of us have to create that and work on that a little more. It isn't just a part of our natural persona or personality.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I'm getting, and we wrap it up now. My no brand is my brand.
That's what I'm thinking too.
I'm casual, that's my brand. I don't care what you think, that's my brand, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
I love that. With Deborah, thank you so much for confronting me and all of that stuff. I'm like upset at you right now. I'm kidding, Deborah, but thank you so much for being here, for creating this amazing conversation. Go ahead, Saurel.
Marie just posted something in the chat that I think is worth reading for the record. And it's perfect summary of everything that Deborah said. It says, your brand is the experience people are left with when working with us or you, or the types of programs or events we lead. Like it's the experience, like, oh my God, Marie, thank you for posting that.
That's great.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. To everyone in the studio, thank you for being here. Have a phenomenal weekend. For those of you in Facebook, thank you for plugging in. We love you, and we'll see you Monday for more powerful conversations. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.